And now, Effective Communication with Phil Zeller, CEO, Dale Carnegie, Southwest Michigan.
So are you enjoying all the politics this year? All the societal politics in so many forms and different fashions that we are getting to experience with other people. And I jest about it because people are constantly asking you, well, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? Or, that's the good ones. The other ones are the ones that don't even ask. They shove stuff in your inbox or in your social media, and you're like looking at it thinking, this isn't very nice. What are you people doing? This is just mean-spirited stuff. And they're throwing stuff at you, and you're looking at it, and you're shaking your head, and you're thinking, where's this stuff coming from? And then, of course, all this stuff is starting to go out there, and then you got people calling up in your family or people you work with, and they're saying, well, what do you think is really going to happen? What do you think is going to really? I'm really worried about it. I'm really worried about the changes. Well, you know what? We've always been worried about the changes, right? Because the only one who likes change is a wet baby. I shared that with you before. And change is constant. It happens all the time. Our challenge in these situations is to step back for a moment and look at the big picture. Look at the big picture. And a lot of times when I think about something that's a new thought or a new idea, or we see something and it's a radical thought or radical idea, the question is, who's going to buy into it? And when are they going to buy into it? And again, if we think about this over time, things take time to change. As they say, Rome wasn't built in a day. And one of the things that I love to look at when I think about the process of innovation and when people take new ideas and put them in effect is actually all the work that it was Everett Rogers who did on the diffusion of innovations. And if you ever studied his work, he did a lot of great work on understanding in the field of communication how ideas are adopted by people and societies. And he said when you come up with a new idea or a new concept that you want people to get involved with, well, you put the idea out there. And the idea is first looked at by the innovators, the people who are innovators that like new ideas. They got to have the coolest new thing on the block. They're the ones that are going to say, I got to have it. It's the newest, it's the latest, it's the greatest. The new phone comes out, the new computer comes out, whatever it is, they got to have it, and they got to have it now, right? Those are the innovators. Those are the people that want it. They're the ones that are questioning everything, that are on that front end fringe of any new product or service or idea being out there. Beyond that group, and that's really about 2.5% of the population when we're looking at 100% of the people that are going to innovate with this new product or change. Then Everett goes on to say, next you have the early adopters. They're about 13.5%. These are the people that get on board early. They're new. They see the innovation. They watch the innovators. They're the second ones to the party, right? They're the ones that say, wow, that's really cool. And that person's making it work really cool. Yeah, I'm in. They're going to be on the front end. So you have the early adopters. And then beyond the early adopters, then you have the early majority. And this is when the bell curve starts to take shape and we start going up in that big chunk of the bell curve. And this is 34% is the early majority of people that would adopt that idea or the innovation or that new product. And then you get to the top of the bell curve, and then you start to go into the late majority, which is coming down the backside of the bell curve. And that's another 34%. And those are people that are a little bit late to the party. They're the fourth ones there. But there's a big group of people who like to be fashionably late to the party, and then they adopt the idea. And then lastly, they're the laggards, right? They're the laggards. They're just 16% of the population in this group that actually catches on the idea. And this is after it's saturated the whole market, and this is just the way society does things. And they're like, well, I guess I got to do it now, right? So those are the laggards. And if you think about this and you understand the diffusion of innovation and how we adopt new ideas, put this in perspective with what's going on in society and all the politics that you think of and all the things that you think of. Realize that these fringe ideas aren't going to happen, because for something to really take effect in the early majority, if you want a tipping point where this radical idea becomes normalized, it's halfway through the early majority. So when half of those people in the early majority say this is what we need to be doing, then you reach a tipping point. So this is good to know in business. It's good to know in communication. It's good to know in presenting any of your ideas to anybody if you want to get buy-in, because you're working toward that tipping point. And if you're concerned about a radical idea, ask yourself, do you really think it's going to take hold? And at what point is it in the diffusion of innovation model? And is it getting toward that point of tipping point? And that is the point of greatest concern of whether it's going to be adopted or not. So I want you to think about this, put it in perspective, and realize that if you want people to adopt your ideas quicker, You've got to appeal to a nobler motive for your audience. You can't have a fringe, crazy idea. It's got to be an idea that more people could put it into play. So make sure that you're appealing to a bigger, nobler motive that people buy into so you can reach that group and get that early majority faster to get past that tipping point. And if you do that, your ideas will be implemented a lot faster than ever before. Now go make it happen.